What strategies improve partner engagement, boost course completions, and drive partner certification rates? Brett, how about you?
Sure. Well, we kind of John's already kind of taken the wind out of my sails a little bit here because
Uh-oh.
I can't agree more that smaller is better when it comes to training. There's so little time. You got to get in, you got to get out, you got to get the information across. I made a 2-minute video for NetExam and I tossed it to my 16-year-old son and I said, make this look like a TikTok video. And he put in background music, he clipped it, he cut it, he put in graphic overlays. I didn't even give him any direction and he did a fantastic job. So I would say that if you have a 16-year-old or younger in the family, give it a shot. You might be really shocked with how good the quality of the product that comes out. And
Can I hire him?
yeah, absolutely, man. But it's engaging. It makes people want to stay focused on it. But make them small, 2-3 minute lessons that they can get in if they have a few minutes in between calls and they can get back out. But one of the big things I would encourage companies to do is a lot of the training I see, it's facts, it's figures, it's numbers, it's percentages. Look, people don't have to memorize all that stuff. You can put that in a PDF and they can hand it off to the customer and they can look it up. I think what's really lacking in the industry is the ability for salespeople to listen to their customers, understand what they need, and then find a way to fit that product into that problem and to help them solve that problem. There's just not enough of that in this world. And I think with the advent of AI and video, there is some really dynamic, great ways to actually record people doing pitches, throw curveball questions at them, analyze their responses, and then make recommendations. And even beyond make recommendations, to John's point earlier, build custom content based on the results of those video grades that will help them shore up the problems that they might be having. Maybe they do have a lot of product knowledge, but maybe they're missing the boat on really empathy or understanding what the customer needs. And again, with AI, being able to build fully custom packaged training is really taken off. I think AI is jolting learning more than any other industry. A user can come in and take a course, and let's say they get a 65 on the course. A good LMS can analyze what they missed and build a brand new course just focusing on the 35% they did poorly on, and build a training program for that individual based on what they're lacking. And they can even put it into the format. Maybe that person travels a lot, so they prefer to learn in flashcard format where it's just one little fact after another. The AI can build a set of flashcards covering the 35% that they failed. So it shouldn't just be, how do I get my people to do my training? You should really try and concentrate on, how do I get 100% of my people to get as close to 100% completion rates on my training? And with AI, you can do that now. Guys, any experience that you've had in the same topic?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, what you're saying to me really resonates in terms of a content consumption strategy. As I mentioned before, we use some incentives to do that, but I think what you're talking about is really a personalized approach to improved training. And really, like your last points around the AI, I think which was interesting to me was that's really where we look at from a training perspective, that's developing mastery. So when I was an educator, we used to have this term like that person's a 50.0 and go person, meaning that they're going to do the absolutely bare minimum. And then I'm out, like I'm good. I've got my 50.0 and I'm on to the next thing. And if you think about developing skills and developing product knowledge, I don't know many professionals that I would feel comfortable buying from or getting their recommendations from if I knew that they only actually acquired 50% of that information or knowledge. And so I think what you're getting at is if you're pushing people towards mastery and finding those gaps, that's a significant improvement of the end results that you're going to get from that training, because you're encouraging or facilitating that mastery loop, which I think is missing in most training programs, especially when it's not mandated. Like that's the other, like if you don't have to do it, like how do you get them to actually do more than what's minimally required?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I look at it, in a real practical way. I carried a quota as an enterprise sales guy for almost 20 years. and you just want to sell more. You can never sell enough. You can never make quota, or it's never easy. You need the skills to be able to sell more. And so one of the great things about channel and partner learning, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, is it's so measurable. And you can measure companies and individuals that have or haven't taken any particular training, and then look in the CRM or PRM and find out how they performed better or worse. And the minute that you make that connection, well, now you can help the average salesperson sell more, because the human nature of it is, if you take this training, it's proven in our organization, you're going to sell on average 24% more, 27% more, whatever that number is. And if you can start tying it to why they want to do that, and just appeal to the human nature of a salesperson that wants to always sell more, then you can overcome this gap in with incentives. You can overcome it with good content, but you can also overcome it with good messaging on how you're going to make more money by engaging in this, and more money than you would, with other organizations. So at the end of the day, salespeople are very monetarily driven. And so I think playing to that and focusing in on that is a way to boost those completion rates, which in turn will boost their individual sales, which in turn boosts the organizational sales, which is what everybody wants.
Yeah, and another way we motivate, and it's a little tricky, but we can, we put together, you can put together a list of the partners within an organization and their average grade, or the amount of time they've completed training. And the great, the hidden secret about those top 10 lists is, yeah, you got a couple of people jockeying for the top spots, but the real motivation is not being at the bottom of the list, right? It's a shaming feature, quite honestly. No one likes to say it out loud, but if you got 26 people in your partner organization and you're in the bottom 3 or 4 people, that's an embarrassing place to be. It's a motivation to make people want to do and complete more training. So there's subtle little things that you can do to encourage the people in your organization to get those training levels. But I would imagine, Jeff, that you can offer, we called it 3-0 and go. That's how I was in college. I was a 3-0 and go. I did just enough not to get my ass kicked when I got home, but not enough to really stand out at the time. But I think you can motivate people to complete the training, but you can also remotivate people to excel at the training and give them even higher, spiffs back if they exceed what was
expected.
Yeah,
from a game,
bribing, shame.
yeah, bribing and shame,
beating.
Brett got up on the wrong side of the bed today.
That's right.
Hey, man, I was born in the 60s, so.
Yeah. Well, I just thinking that from a gamification standpoint, you're speaking kind of to the leaderboard effect, and certainly that can be a powerful motivator, depending on the persona of the types of people being trained. And one thing that we notice about leaderboards in external training is, if they do know each other on a personal level, then it certainly has that kind of effect, because, oh, I know that Brett's below me and I actually know Brett personally. But that can be different if you don't know the people that you're, say, competing with. One thing that we're looking at is from a metric, what is the leaderboard an actual measurement of? And what is the impact of that measurement for the business? So is it based on just course completions, content consumption? Is it based on other actions that's important to the company? So a measure of leaderboards is interesting depending on what metric you're kind of pegging it to. Another feature that we like to use is what's called levels, and that's just where you have your points, or in our case, a virtual currency, where thresholds are being met, and then you can see not only what the milestones in their progress are and how close they are to going to the next level, but it also starts to segment your customers into those different thresholds. And where that's important is not only from a motivational standpoint as a learner, oh yeah, I'm close to that, to that next level. Well, each level could offer new incentives or new opportunities as one like motivational strategy. But what I think is missing from the business side is people don't realize that level segmentation is an absolute goldmine for business insights. I know exactly who are the people in my top levels those are the people that are showing the most interest in our organization, have consumed the most content, know the most about our products, have likely been selling the most. And so we can start to cater our messaging different based on who are these bands or tiers of our different customers that we're working with. And I think that impacts all of your strategies outbound. Like, what is our marketing strategy? How do we help support those? Kind of like that golden rule in business that, 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of the people. Well, if that's the case, why aren't we targeting, how do we help support and drive the most value we can possibly get from those top level customers? So I think there's two parts of that. One's an engagement strategy, but another is like the business insights. Even if you weren't to show that to the end user, just knowing that on the back end is incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
And it is how you develop those advocates over time.
Yeah.
So now, once we can identify that top 20%, who's the best, then we can get them talking. And when they're talking, we can use that to attract new partners over time and new customers.
Absolutely.